Hey, what up? Today I'd like to share with you my go-to Sharen Perforator build for the Void Erosion Purge level 30. Let's do this.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you. I think you're cool.
I'm going to get right into the build, but I just want to quickly explain why Sharen, I think, is one of the best descendants for the most difficult content in the Purge. I've used all of the descendants that make sense for the Purge. I used Glay, Haley, I used Enzo, Lepic with his traction grenade. At the end of the day, I'm settling with Sharen. I'm on the Xbox, and I'm just whamming these guys. I'm going for the head, and why it's so easy is because I'm using Sharen. That's one of her differentiators, because she can go invisible and not be targeted. She can step right in the enemy's face, put her barrel to his forehead and crank the trigger. And because she can stand right in front of the enemy and aim for his weak point, I'm able to take advantage of additional rate of fire, maximize the mods on my weapon, and not have to resort to mods that don't buff the meteors for AoE attack. And so you're going to get maximum amount of meteors hitting with the 100% damage bonus coming from her invisibility with her really good crit rate base. And she does amazing damage. And the way I've configured this build, it has some of that unlimited ammo-esque feeling that you get from Glay. I've been pairing up the Perforator with Sharen for a long time, and I have this last video for you to check out if you want to see the version I run for mobbing. Most people know what the Perforator does, but real quick, when you crit, you're going to get 5 meteors. When you hit the head, the weak point, you're gonna get 1 meteor. So when you crit on the head, you're gonna get 6. The damage from the meteors is fire damage by 35%. After triggering that, those that have the detect applied to them from the meteors are going to take an additional 10% weak point damage. So you're sitting there standing on an enemy, hitting them in the head, making it rain meteors. So you get this unlimited mag for 3 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're standing right in front of an enemy, it is a lot. For the Perforator's standard attributes, I have weak point damage, crit damage, firearm attack, and then firearm critical hit rate. So as far as the weapon rolls go, so you're gonna want firearm crit rate and then crit damage here. You guys have no idea how many cores I've put into this weapon. I've tried every friggin' combination you could think of, and the double fire rate is really good. Now, there's a lot to this, and I think this is where you're really gonna see my build separate from others. The thing about the Perforator is that you run out of really good mods to put on it. You run out of mods that make sense to put on it. You're trying to buff, of course, your bullet impact, but you're also trying to buff the meteors, and there's a lot they don't accept, like elemental damage, for example. So for the most part, you're going for that base damage, you're going for crits, and because you can only equip so many of those mods, then you start looking at quality of life mods, and it's just like, you don't really need that for these less than 10-minute sessions in the Purge. And they really amped up the ammo, so that's been helpful. And on top of that, Enzo shows up a lot, so he's also going to buff your build with even more crits and give you ammo. On a lot of other configurations, you're going to see the Perforator with maybe 1 fire rate, and then instead of the second fire rate, they're going to put on a larger mag, which can push up to 150%. And that is nice. That's a nice quality of life. The thing is, this is why I decided to go for double fire rate. One, you can make meteorite Hellfire. It looks like a little waterfall of meteorites. And the second reason is fire rate is more rare to be able to put onto your weapon than additional rounds to your magazine. There are multiple ways to put on additional rounds, but you can only put on 1 fire rate mod onto your weapon. Because it's so easy to hit the weak point, which are headshots in this case, at least once every 15 seconds, you're going to get what feels like an unlimited mag. And I don't have the option to put another fire rate mod on because they only let you do 1. I went through all of the mods and I was like, oh, what do I want to do? And there's no real wrong answer, but I didn't want a bunch of wasted mods on the weapon. I've used all the crit mods that you can possibly put on. I got better insight, better concentration, so that's your base, action and reaction, rifle and reinforcement, fire rate up, minimum mandatory basically. I decided to run bullet integration instead of concentration priority because 36% with a 30% reload modifier just wasn't that appealing to me. There's no need to take the penalty from the reload time modifier when you got 100% crit damage core on the build. 36% isn't isn't appealing enough to do that. So I went ahead and took the bullet integration, which gives me a nice base weapon damage, which is going to the meteors, as well as the crit hit damage that comes along with it. Now, Insight Focus, 13% critical hit rate isn't shit when you're running 60%. But again, like I said, I don't have much else there, and I'd rather do that than put on weak point damage. In this case, crits are going to give you more meteors. More meteors is more AoE, blah, blah, blah. Okay, back to my options here. So instead of running the larger mag at 150%, what I've done is put on expand weapon charge at 50% and then weapon tuning at 30%. So that's a total of 80%, a little over half of the value the core would give you on the weapon. So that's making up a lot of it. And then from there, I feel really good about the payout mod. You hit the head, activate payout, and then for 3 seconds, you have unlimited ammo on top of your 10 rounds. And because of the elevated fire rate, you're getting more shots out of those 3 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're wailing on an enemy, basically at point blank, it's sufficient. And the reload time is at 1.6 seconds. So when you do reload, it's not that big of an inconvenience. If I take off that RPM core and replace it with a magazine core, then I'd probably end up removing weapon tuning, expand weapon charge, and payout. And then it comes down to, well, what am I gonna run? Well, I can put weak point and chill, which is helpful for the bullet impact, but not for the meteors. And as far as special mods, I'd probably end up doing something like weak point expansion to give you a big chunky piece of damage from time to time. That big chunky damage from time to time isn't helping the meteors. So with payout, I can make it rain meteors. That's why I've chosen this configuration. Because we don't use any of our damage skills, I don't have any emphasis on skill damage here. Most of this is on duration and skill haste or minimizing cooldowns. Everything else goes into buffing her weapon damage. I'm running 2 HP mods. Shot focus is going to be a big deal. You definitely want to run this for that extra 15% firearm attack, and then improve drive shaft. And actually a shout out to Augie Saint, I think that's how you say his name, because I saw that he was running this. I think I saw he was running this, and this mod was actually not on my radar. I knew there was the accelerated drive shaft for RPMs, but the improved drive shaft, I didn't even know it was there sitting in my inventory. So shout out to him, because now I'm using this for an extra 26% damage at a 15% chance just for rolling. So make sure you do your cartwheels. I got nimble fingers for cooldown, focus on fusion. Really, it's for cooldown. Same thing with electric skill power. Skill extension so that you can stay invisible for a long amount of time, even between fights. This is really important because she gets a serious speed boost when she's invisible, which is 30%. And then I have another maximized duration for another 40% skill duration. This is also helping me pick up people when they go down. And then I have more skill cooldown with MP conversion. So none of this should be shocking. You have some room to tailor this as you like. And no, I'm running ambushed. That's really important. As long as you're critting, you're maintaining your invisibility. So let's look at quickly what she gets with her perks. So she's getting a 100% outgoing damage increase when she's invisible. And she's got a firearm critical hit rate increase at 22%. Just so you know, she's also got an outgoing damage increase when attacking non-targeted enemies at 15%. Okay, real quick on the stats. So I'm at 45.28%. It's really weird. None of her critical hit rate bonuses show up here. So this is all firearm stuff. But just so you know where you need to be, try not to drop below 40%. That's sort of the cutoff. You need to stay above that in order to maintain your camouflage. You're still going to be killing well at like 39, 38, 40%. It's just that you'll keep having to reactivate your camouflage. And so as long as you're critting, you can avoid that. Okay, for the reactor, you don't really have to worry about skill damage. I just happen to have mine lined up, but skill duration and cooldown are what you're looking for. And then I decided to go for the volcanic external components. You can now farm these in infiltrations as well as taking on Molten Fortress to get it. The drop rates are really good now, by the way. Defense, HP, and MP recovery out of combat. 15,500 is the health. And then I got 15,000 in defense. So they just modified this a little bit. They did is change the 4-set bonus so that you're now getting hand cannon, handgun, and shotgun damage. So we're using the hand cannon and the shotgun in this case, and I'm not really paying attention to anything else that the set does. You also have a few other options for her skill builds. I usually run Slayer, but for her weapon builds, for the Purge, for those rooms where you're taking on dudes that are weaker against chill, The Polar Knight set is also really good. I was running Polar Knight up until the latest patch. When you inflict frostbite upon enemies, firearm critical hit damage is going to increase by 1.7%, and that stacks 10 times for a 5-second duration. It's actually really easy to activate and to maintain, and then there's other additional benefits too, but this is more simplified and a little bit more helpful in the boss room. The hand cannon attack is at 10.3%, so that's for our Perforator. It's always there on that first shot and on the last shot, versus Polar where you have to build it up and then there's a chance and it's based off of your crits. And we are running lots of crits, so the chances are good, but either way, this just has better uptime. And then I'm running the Volsha just to break shields, so it's not a big deal. I'm not gonna run through that. I only use the Smithereens against the boss, but I work him with the hand cannon and then finish him off with the Smithereens. Otherwise, I have crit damage, firearm attack, aim shot accuracy, and then for the other stats, I have crit damage, firearm attack, chill attack, and then bonus against Order of Truth, just because I freaking have to. It sucks. For the mod settings, I'll just show you pretty typical setup. So I have chill priority, chill circulation, chill enhancement, and then everything else is basically standard for this shotgun. I decided to go expand weapon charge to have a larger mag. You could do something else here. Hey, real quick, I just want to compliment the community because I feel like everybody's really stepped up with the Void Erosion Purge. I'm able to run back-to-back sessions with the community, and that's pretty cool because doing the Void Erosion Purge with a team is so much more fun, in my opinion. I've been craving content that's difficult enough to incorporate some strategic gameplay. Now, once you have your build tuned, this content isn't really difficult. They're just really spongy, but you counter that with a lot of weapon damage, and that's what this build brings to you. I'm partial to Sharen. She's one of my favorite characters in the game. Some people don't understand why, but if you've used Sharen extensively, you probably get it. Catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandido, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy or download anything for the First Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?